Oh boy, I'm having fun here. Take 3. I wish you could have been here just now. It was quite funny. I'm quite good at mocking myself. Has anyone noticed that the World Cup is on? If you didn't, you must be living in a cave. And to me personally, it's a farce. Simply because certain countries are excluded, and therefore the eventual winners are not necessarily the best in the world. They are just part of the chosen ones. Similarly to the tennis in the summer when Djokovic was banned. That tournament ended with a champion, but was he the real world champion? Of course he wasn't, because he didn't compete with the real world champion, in my opinion. The world has become a place where we are told who to hate and who to exclude. And sadly, the majority go along with it, without thinking or really caring, just as long as they are seen to be part of the flock of sheep that dutifully follow the shepherd. And as I've said before, just be aware that the shepherd is only your friend until he takes you to the slaughterhouse. Going back to the World Cup, the country hosting it has an appalling human rights record. And the pundits like Gary Lineker and Phil Neville are there bemoaning the human rights in this country. But they are still there taking their pound of flesh in salaries and brown-nosing their masters on Sky and BBC. It's just pure hypocrisy on their part. And I can't watch this debacle, especially when the likes of David Beckham has closed a deal worth £150 million in sponsorship. I don't like that guy. I don't know why, I just don't. He's not real. He's I don't know. I just don't like him. Now, have you heard of the declaration by Ursula von der Crazy? She is stating that the country who is state sponsor of terrorism is Russia. Oh, really? There's no legal framework for the EU to recognise a state sponsorship of terrorism. So why is the EU proposing this when the US have refused to comment? And of course the US can't comment, can they? Simply because of NATO. And NATO itself is a blood-drenched state, and any such decree from America would just be seen as blatant hypocrisy, labelling anyone else a sponsor of terrorism before calling out its own state of historical terror. Just look at the history. And I've been there before, I know, but I'll repeat it again. Serbia, 1999. 78 days of terror for a mostly civilian population who suffered greatly. And the Serbs have never forgotten this, and they never will. So just be aware that Serbia is a very, very small part of Russia. And Russia is a very big part of Serbia. And then we had, before then actually, in 2003, we had shock and awe. And that campaign killed over 7,000 Iraqi civilians in 2 months. Why? Because NATO believed Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, and after thorough investigation by international bodies, none were ever found. And the main culprit of this, in my opinion, was one Tony Blair. He should even now be standing trial for crimes against humanity. Will he? I doubt it very much. The next one in 2011 was just another attack killing innocent civilians in Libya. And the excuse was to bring down and kill Gaddafi. Was it about that, or was it about money and oil? And this is just 3 instances involving NATO. Let's move on a little bit. and the more modern theme of who's going to join NATO. Finland and Sweden? I'm not so sure. Do the people there who live in Finland and Sweden really want to join NATO and be the front line of defence for Russia and for their young men to be conscripted into a fighting and possibly die in a foreign country? I doubt it very much. It appears to me that all countries in the EU, including Britain, who technically isn't in the EU but actually still is in many, many ways, and we are being directly ordered to do the bidding of America via Ursula von der Leyen. Just look up her and her husband. You'll be surprised at what you find and their involvement in Big Pharma and their personal interest in wealth and power. And it is my opinion that if governments don't toe the line, then they will be changed for ones that do. And I've said that many times before too. You only have to look at Ukraine, how many presidents they went through until they found the right one that suits America. And I hear you say, what about the regime change in Sweden, where the latest government under Ulf Kristersson has apparently shocked the EU by its outrageous new policies? Well, time will tell, I'm sure. Forgive me for my scepticism, but that comes from years and years of being let down by people in suits and ties who tend to be in politics for their own ends and couldn't care less about ordinary folk like me and you. And it appears that the World Economic Forum wants a one world government that presides over everyone. What power that would bring to the world's psychopaths and sycophants. But before we go down that road, let's just look at the EU and what it has done as an oligarchy of unelected people who have taken away every country's sovereignty and pride. Most of European tradition has been destroyed by the EU. And you've only got to look at your own country to see that. Following the orders of the European Union has led us all into chaos with a mass influx of so-called asylum seekers, a lot of whom are not genuine. It's far too late for Britain, but when it comes to compassion and humility, charity begins at home, and we all need to look at our own first of all. Put your people and their needs first, is what many people think. It's a common sense thing. Family comes first. Wow. Now, a few of you know my love for Finland, and I've extolled its virtues many times in the past. But I tend to do so once more with stories and pictures, or pictures and the story that goes with it. I'll leave a link to my other YouTube platform under more in bold letters. But first of all, I need to learn how to show pictures during video, so it may be some time. I think there are a couple of videos there that I haven't deleted, but it's just things. Anyway, thank you for listening to my ramblings. I hope I speak for the many who are disillusioned with our politicians and the way the world is run. What can we do? We can listen to other people, we can pass things on. If I've got an opinion that you enjoy, pass it on to someone. Give me a thumbs up or subscribe. And my last piece of, I wouldn't say it's advice, it's just another piece of common sense really. If you look very carefully, you'll find that the perceived angels in this world are a disguised malevolence, and the devils you are encouraged to hate are not always what they are made out to be. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Bye-bye.